Hi, I'm Zen, and in this video I'll be demonstrating our prototype for the Linux login module integrating with Across Server. So let me just go over to our VM, which is our Oracle Linux that has the 2FA login module installed. Now first I'll just do a quick walkthrough of the three properties files that we have for this program. They are located in the OS2FA folder under configurations or CONF folder. There's three files. Now the one that we'll go on first is the authentication properties. Over here you can see the host. This is where we dictate the host name or the IP address of where the Across server is, as well as the port number and some other settings which is described in detail up here. And at the bottom you can see some additional settings. There's this one for organization. The organization that we'll be using that hosts all our test accounts is the LDAP users organization, which will be set here. And the maximum fail attempts. Now this number has to be set. It should be either equal to or lesser than what has been set in Across server. So Across server is using a maximum attempt of 3, so we are setting it 3 here as well. And here, these two settings is about allowing the root user to bypass the OTP at first. Now this is important for the initial setting up. You need to ensure that the root user isn't restricted by the OTP module while he was still setting up or testing the system. Only when everything is tested fine, then we can set this to either no or anything other than yes. And by doing that, it will force the root user to also have to go through the OTP login flow. Next property files is the messages.properties. This is where the error messages or information messages that's been shown to the user will be set. You can change this and it will be updated by the program upon the next run, so that you don't have to actually recompile the program again. Then we have the log4j.properties, which is where we set our logging mechanism. And that's about it. That's the three settings file that we have. And looking at the host file, for the time being, we are setting the host for this test server to point to Across server, and this is the IP address that I'm using. So now let me just log out of root, and I'll show you what happens if I try to log in as a different user. Okay, so this demo we can use two users, the ANDJE01 or the ELMI01. These are accounts that can be seen in the Across server. Let me just switch over to the accounts available in Across server. So these two users are there as well. Let me switch back to Linux. So if I attempt to log in as ANDJE01 and I log in using their Linux password, this window will pop up and requesting for the one-time PIN. Now if you were to key in anything else other than the correct one-time PIN, it will say invalid OTP. If I try it again, and if I try it a third time, it will say exceeded number of attempts and proceed to log out this user. Now if I try to log in with this same account again, and trying the OTP with something wrong, it will say account inactive or locked. Now this is because the Across server has locked this user because it has exceeded the number of attempts allowed by the Across server. So we can move over to Across administrator and let me look for this user. That users. Manage authentication credentials. As you can see, the status of this user is been locked. So let me go ahead and unlock him, enable, save. And let me just try again with Oracle. Now let me just go over to the OTP client and generate one OTP. 927632. 927632. So if it's a correct OTP, it will be successful and you'll be able to enter the system. Next, I'm going to show you what happens if the user tries to log in using an account that is not present in the account server. Say for example the Zenliao account. Now this Zenliao account cannot be found in account server. You can take a look at the accounts list. There's no Zenliao account here. So if I try to log in as Zenliao, and Zenliao try to do an OTP, you say the user Zenliao was not found and proceed to login mode as well. Now what happens if the account server is uncontactable? To simulate that, let me just log in as root. Now because I have admin bypass activated, so logging in as a root user will bypass the OTP for the time being. Okay, so let me just open up the host file using gedit, and I'll go over to etc and host. So assuming I just change this to a different IP address, that would make the account server uncontactable from this Linux VM. And if I try to log out, and try to log in as ANDJE01, so notice that it will pop up and say the server is unreachable and proceed to bypass the whole OTP login flow and enter the system. So now I'll just switch back to being the root user. Now I'll just open up the host file again, and assign back the IP address, the correct IP address. And now I can move on to test remote login using putty SSH. So I'm going to log in as ANDJE01, password is password, and please enter OTP. So let me go through the failure attempts for you. So 1 fail, 2 fail, 3 fail, and it logs out. The next time he tries to log in again, 01, because the account has been locked, so he can't log in even through SSH. Now let me go and unlock this account again using the account administrative. So the account has been locked. Let me just unlock it again. Save. And now we can go ahead and try the login again. ANDJE01, password, and enter a proper OTP this time. Let me go to the accounts, ANDJE, generate the passcode, 523421. Oops. 523421, enter, and OTP authentication successful, and he's in. Now what happens if the server is down or uncontactable? I mean the OTP server. Let me just go back and change the host file again. So now if I try to log in using the same account, ANDJE01, password, it tries to contact the OTP server, but the server is unreachable and bypassing OTP authentication, allowing the user to go in through SSH. Let me just switch it back to the proper IP address, and you can see the user can be logged in using OTP, ANDJE01, password, and now it's prompting for an OTP. Before I forget, I have to mention that this script is still, you can use Ctrl+C or Ctrl+Z or any other shortcut signals to disable the script or terminate the script prematurely. They'll just be seen as characters or non-characters, and OTP is still required. So that's about it. Let me just do a double check and log in using a proper PIN. Copy this, and authentication successful, and I'm in. So that's about it. Thank you.